Welcome everyone to another episode of Health Matters. I'm your host, Laura Kopek, and today we have the wonderful Dr. Jason Krammer. And as you know, our podcast is all about demystifying and unpacking misinformation around different topics of health so that you can take charge of your health. And so, welcome, Dr. Jason.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Do you prefer to go by Dr. Jason or Dr. Krammer or Dr. Jason Krammer?
It really doesn't matter to me. I figure it's a little easier and more personal, especially when we get our kids and families to go Dr. Jason.
Cool. All right. Excellent. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I realized I wanted to be a chiropractor when I was 21 years old, and I got in a car accident and went to see a chiropractor because that's what you do when you're in a car accident, right? You see a chiropractor for neck pain or back pain, maybe if you have headaches, but definitely if you're in a car accident. So I was referred to this chiropractor when I was an undergrad, probably 20 or 21 years old. And like any 20 or 21-year-old, you know everything there is to know about life and about health. So I had it all figured out. But I started going to see this chiropractor and we had just hit it off. And he was a smart aleck just like I was. And eventually he asked me what I wanted to do. And I told him I really want to make a difference somewhere, helping people. And he goes, "Oh, you're going to be a chiropractor." And I went,
You're like, yeah, right.
was like, I appreciate that, and that's great, and I'm sure you do it. This is awesome. Helping people get out of pain, and people go to work, and they're happier when they're not in pain. But I mean, like a real difference. And he said something like, "You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about."
Yeah.
So I went back to shadow him, probably a week later for a couple hours, and there were some people that came in that had pain, but the majority of people that came in to see him came in because they had digestive issues or because I met a woman that had infertility issues and now had a baby and had seen him throughout the entire process. Allergies, asthma. The person that I talked to was no longer taking blood pressure medications, and I thought, I see what happened here.
Yeah, right.
He told everybody that's coming in. He said some smart aleck kids coming in. You got to mess with them. And I was like, I'm on to you, buddy. But come to find out, this is actually real. So I asked him afterwards, what kind of voodoo are you doing? This is crazy. This isn't just cracking necks and backs to hopefully make a difference, make you feel better.
Right.
He goes, I told you, you have no idea what you're talking about. He told me, God made the body, God heals the body. The chiropractor's job is to remove the interference, get the heck out of the way so that the body can function like it's supposed to. So we don't heal any of this kind of stuff. All we do is address the nervous system where it's blocked. And that's how we make a difference. And I thought, okay.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in.
I don't know if you realize my first experience with alternative health came by seeing a chiropractor.
No kidding.
Yeah, I saw a chiropractor at 19 years old. I had an injury. I was working backstage and I fell, and University Health wanted to put me on meds and I wasn't functioning in my classes. And so I was introduced to chiropractic care, which led to nutrition, which eventually led to a passion, which led to here. And I always say that if we put the body in the correct environment, right, then amazing things can happen. So I always say, I feel like we get to witness amazing transformation in the body.
We do all the time.
To serve that purpose is pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so much of, I think it is about that environment. We forget that.
Yeah.
We forget that it's your brain's job is to interpret its environment.
Absolutely.
Its environment meaning your body. And if you can do that efficiently, it does pretty well. It's self-regulating and self-healing like it's supposed to. Right. Not to say that you don't need to add all the other good stuff and put yourself in a good environment outside of that.
Right.
But that's what the body's supposed to do. That's what the way it was designed.
I think we're always looking for answers outside of ourselves. And I always say, stop and ask what your body is telling you instead of what's wrong. If you're asking your body what it's telling you, then you have a better understanding of what direction to go in and what you might need.
All the time. All the time we should be doing. That's one thing that doesn't happen a lot of the time, I think.
Right.
I mean, shoot, how many times do people come in to see you or to see me, and if they don't feel that something is wrong, they're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're kind of groomed that way too, right?
Absolutely.
Shoot, when I was a kid, your parents didn't take you to the doctor unless you were sick.
Yeah.
But the same thing with their parents, they didn't take them to the doctor unless they were sick
Mhm.
or hurt. And realistically, if you were to go in and tell some healthcare provider, someone walks in with, oh, I feel great. Oh, this is amazing. This is the best day of my life. They probably go, what are you doing here?
Yeah, yeah,
What in the
yeah,
world?
yeah.
Like, come back when you're hurt or when you're
Right,
sick, and
right.
we can give you something to make you feel better. Because everybody knows health is about how you feel. And that's just got us down a path of this nasty but perfect storm brewing inside our bodies because we don't pay attention and we're not taught. We're groomed to not pay attention until something bad happens.
Yeah, yeah.
And by that time, when the symptom shows up, what we find a lot of the times, the symptoms are a lot of the times the last thing to show up when something's going on. We just don't pay attention up until that point.
Right, right. And then even through the process of people getting better, I know we've talked about this, they can fixate on the next thing that's wrong and forget about the progress they're making because they are so conditioned to come in and say, this is hurting now. This is what's wrong. And then at a certain point go, I'm still coming in here. I'm still feeling not 100%. And it's not really about a finish line. It's about how to manage and be proactive for your own health.
Right. And in our office, we call it chiropractic a lot of the times, right? Someone comes in and we'll have them fill out a progress evaluation as they're going over their scans and their evaluations down the road. And they'll go, no, I didn't have this. They'll put a line through it or like write NA or something on there. I didn't have this thing going on. And then we'll go back through their paperwork and they'll go,
I know, right?
I struggled with that for years, but
Years, yeah.
it's been months since I've
Mhm.
had to notice it or struggled with it or even realized it. So I just completely forgot I had it,
Right?
which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
But I think that same kind of thing happens. If it's not actively going on, you don't think about it so much.
yeah,
But
yeah,
once it is, oh man, you want to do something about it, but you want it fixed pretty quick.
yeah.
I think we've kind of gotten ourselves into that healthcare, that society right now that you got something going on, okay, whatever, but give me something right now so I can get it fixed, I can feel better, move on. Who doesn't want to move on with the day, right? You,
Yeah,
especially if you got a family, you got kids, you got work, you can't just shut down.
yeah,
But let's not forget to actually fix what's causing that problem in the first place.
exactly. Right. It's not about symptom management, the
Mhm.
way healthcare is conditioning us to think about it. It's about bringing the body back into balance.
Mhm. We forget that.
Yeah,
We
we
forget
do.
that a
We
lot.
do. We
It's
do.
just on to the next symptom and then the next symptom and then the next one. I talk about what if you were to start a fire and this fire grows and grows and grows. And now the fire department's gonna come and they're gonna hose down the building, they're gonna save the building, and that's great, but you don't call the fire department back the next day to come hose down everything again, right?
Right, right.
But you got this burning building, and if you don't ever realize what started the fire in the first place, then
Exactly.
all you're gonna do is you can rebuild, but eventually fire's coming back. You gotta call the fire department again and again and again. But if you can start to go, oh, you know what? Maybe we need to make some changes. There is something that's starting this fire, or there's something that's starting this sickness going on. And if we can address that, then all of a sudden we're talking about real health. We're paying attention to your environment
Absolutely.
as
Real health,
opposed
real health.
to
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's speak to our audience a little bit about the misconceptions around what not only what chiropractic is for those that have never gone, but for the style of chiropractic that you do for people that have gone to chiropractors and don't understand that there's different types, different kinds.
man, that's tough, especially nowadays because I feel like you just mentioned the word chiropractic and it can mean 40 different things.
Oh, yes,
You have
absolutely.
no idea. So you have 40 different people in a room and you mentioned, oh yeah, you should go see my chiropractor. And you're like, well, I have no idea what we're talking about because my chiropractor does. There's
Yeah,
no idea.
right.
So I tell people a lot of the times that there are two main types of chiropractors that most people are familiar with. Either going to be bone-based or brain-based.
Mhm.
Bone-based meaning, hey, you got something that's shifted. Let's see if we can't push it enough times in the right direction, get it to stay back in place. Or there's a brain base that says, hey, let's make sure the pathways and the neurology that's trying to get to the brain in the first place can actually get there. So the brain can make an informed decision like we want it to in the first place, like it was designed to do.
Mhm.
If we can clear those pathways, the brain gets a more clear message, then it can interpret what's going on as enemy reinforcements. It's kind of like if you're going to war, you got all these troops in reserve, right? And but they're locked down. And all of a sudden we find this pathway, and now all of a sudden we can open up the gates, all these troops can go to war. Now brain has a better decision. It sends all those troops, body's working better, body's getting what it needs. It's almost like if we're talking on two different walkie-talkies,
Yeah.
two different frequencies.
Yeah.
We're not gonna have any idea what
Yeah.
either one of us are
Mhm.
saying, but we're expecting the other one to know, and then you end up getting frustrated. And I'm going, Laura, I told you, and you're like, "Hey, I have no idea what you just said."
Yeah.
And we're going on that path. Whereas if we just change the frequencies, then we're actually able to directly connect with each other. It works way more efficient,
Yeah.
but the body works the same way. So that's the type of chiropractic we do.
So out of those two, I know what you
Sure.
do, but for our listeners, you are brain-based and not bone-based, right?
Correct.
Which is really helpful too, to have that little summary, because when I'm asking someone or referring to you, I can now say, well, is your chiropractor bone-based or brain-based, right? You know,
That's a
to
good question.
really quickly shift them into thinking that they might need to see someone that's doing brain-based. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Right. So as you know, we don't do a ton of twisting, cracking, and popping. We're a little more specific, a little more gentle. Our first patient, our youngest patient, has been a couple hours old. Our oldest patient has been, I think, 96. So we have something for everyone.
Love that.
And since we are brain based, we have some neurological evaluations that we do. As you've seen, we're going to measure the heart rate variability to see how the body's actually dealing with stress, not how you feel under stress, but
Yeah.
what's actually happening
Mhm.
when your body encounters it. We measure for thermography, which lets us know where the imbalances in the nervous system are. Is that gas pedal just stuck on and you're stuck in just stressed out mode, or is the brake pedal able to engage a little bit? And then we can measure for any stuck stress that's in the nervous system. So being a brain-based chiropractor, we're going to take all of that into account, and we're going to say what's actually stuck in the nervous system, where is it stuck? And now a lot of the times part of the education that comes with that is a patient's going to look at the graph and go, I don't hurt there. And I'm gonna go, I get it. We got to get past the symptoms.
Right.
I understand where you hurt,
Right.
but we want to find out what's causing you to hurt. We want to find out why the body isn't able to address this and regulate and heal itself. And it goes so much further than just aches and pains.
Yeah.
So if we can take those graphs and we can say, hey, these are the areas of your nervous system that need addressed.
Right.
We can address those points, get out of the way. We see changes in health with stuff across the board. And the cool part is we're able to reassess and scan, because we've talked about before, real science is when you can test something and measure it.
Right.
Then we're going to go apply what we think is going to work best. Then we're going to remeasure it and see if we made a difference or not.
Yeah.
And if we can see that we made a difference, we call those hard signs. If your scores and your graphs are going to change and your soft signs are going to change along with it, are you sleeping better? Is your digestion better? Are you feeling better? Are your headaches better? Are your sinus? But if your hard signs and your soft signs are working well and both moving in the right direction, then we're getting somewhere. But being a brain-based chiropractor, really what we're concerned with is clearing those pathways so the brain gets a better message, so the brain can make those changes that the body needs. It's really not us. People will say all the time, oh, thank you so much for fixing X, Y, or Z. We didn't fix X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
All we did was go give the body what it needed, remove those roadblocks, get the heck out of the way.
Yeah.
Body's pretty cool.
No, body is so cool. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around stress. That word, we put it in this place where I'm only feeling mental or emotional. I'm stressed. Oh, my workday was so intense, right? Or there's stress at home, and people don't understand the nature of physical stress, and then the adaptability of the brain, right? Where you're saying, oh, I have pain there. Well, physical health isn't just about pain, as you said, but also a stress response in the body, right? And the adaptability of the brain going, well, I'm not going to register this as pain anymore, or even as pain, and navigate it differently. So
does that all the time. And realistically, we have a million different stressors in life, right? but they boil down to three main categories if you think about it. We have our physical stressors, we have our chemical stressors, and we have our emotional stressors. So all
Yeah,
three of those are going to affect us. And I often tell people that physical stressors can affect you this much, chemicals this much, emotional ones like way up top there. And we put those all together, and that can kind of create a perfect storm for the body because that just takes the nervous system and slams down that gas pedal. You just get
yeah,
stuck in sympathetic overdrive, which automatically suppresses the
yeah,
immune system. The brain gets confused, and now we have all different sorts of problems going on. Then our symptoms show up,
yeah,
and then we go see someone
yeah.
because now we got to take something so we don't feel well.
Right, right.
And of course, that's when you go see someone and talk about your health. So, without addressing all three of those aspects, I just don't think we can actually clear our environment or have it a healthy environment like we need, which is so much what you do as well. Because when I came in to see you, talking about all sorts of different things, and we had to go back to some of the basics as far as, hey, let's make sure that all these different stresses are covered. We need to do this. We need to check these different levels because the body or your environment needs these specific things. And if you're deficient in them or you have too much of some, which you don't even think about,
Yeah,
how can it work well?
yeah. I always say that my primary job is to change the conversation for people, right, around their health and doing it in many, many ways, including having discussions like this,
Mm.
so people can hear without sitting in my chair or laying on your table, right, how important it is. Stress is such a narrow-minded word, and we really need to change the conversation around it. I love the three stressors that you put into. I always tell people there's four stresses: physical, mental, emotionally, sensory. And because we're all under sensory stress all the time, right? The computer, the internet, the phone, traffic, lights, everything, constant go, go, go. And so we already start depleted, we already start in the negative. But I also think people think that when they talk about their health, it's just this physical thing, right? It's their acid reflux or it's their shoulder back pain, and they don't realize the impact that can have on digestion and the atomic nervous system. I see people that will get stuck in their progress because their nervous system is stuck. They cannot get out of that sympathetic nervous system. And so their body won't let them for a variety of reasons, right? And so they have to understand that to achieve health, it's not just this place where we're going to work on um, chemicals, nutritional imbalances, the gut health. Like it has to be this comprehensive look because if my goal is health, right? If I want to be healthy, um, then we can start in different directions, but to have that comprehensive understanding so we can have better expectations about results and what it means to live in a place of health. So I'm constantly trying to bring people into the understanding of their atomic nervous system and how to address that.
That's you have a tough job.
Yeah.
You have a tough job because you probably get the same thing we get. Every once in a while, someone will come in and talk about, well, I'm really not stressed. I'm like, have you gotten in your car and driven on the road this morning?
Right.
Like you said, have you had your screen time?
Right.
Because one of the first things we do is get on the computer or our tablet or our
Exactly.
phone. You're getting the screen time right away. That is a stress for the body.
Exactly. Right.
You've
It's
driven
that
around town.
narrow-minded
Oh,
idea
man.
about what stress really is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we had, and don't get me wrong, there are a ton of great stressors. I mean, not all
Right.
stressors are bad,
Right.
but it is stress. And it
Exactly.
is going to affect your body. If you go get in
Exactly.
a good workout, that's extremely stressful for the body. It's not saying don't work out.
Right.
Everyone should get into some exercise, but it's still stress for the body. And we
Right.
do have to account for that. We do have to realize that
Mhm.
it's not just stress when I can feel it
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's bogging my body down and affecting my life. Bring in those stressors all day long.
I try to tell people we need to stop thinking about managing stress and we need to talk about releasing stress, right? And if you're releasing some of that interference, how many people would ever say, I see my chiropractor for my stress, right? How about we change that? Wouldn't it be so cool if we changed the conversation to that? People started walking around going, yeah, I go get my nervous system adjusted.
I can't imagine what that would look like. That's like a Christmas morning
Right?
thing.
Right.
No, but I mean, funny you say that. Just this week, we've had people talk in the office about how less stressed they feel and how they're able
Yes.
to focus more either at
Yes.
school or at their jobs, or they're able
Yeah.
to just feel relaxed because their brain isn't so busy. But no, that's not what people seek out chiropractic for. Not even brain-based chiropractic, but that's literally what we're focusing on.
Right.
Let's calm the
Right.
nervous system.
Right.
Everybody has this gas pedal stuck on. Let's ease the pressure on that, apply a
Mhm.
little brakes so the nervous system can calm down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if people actually saw chiropractic for that, I think we can make a world of difference in the nervous system. And since the nervous system controls every single part of your body, it's not a bad idea.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think that reminds me one of the biggest, we specialize in hormones, and one of the biggest mistakes we get is people thinking they're in menopause and they're actually having digestive imbalances.
I may see that a lot.
Oh, yeah, because people automatically think that if they're having temperature dysregulation, that that is a sign of a hot flash or a night sweat, and that has to be hormones,
Has to be. It can't be anything else. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And then we take them through a path where they see in their test results what their gut health is doing and the explanation, education about how that's going to affect their temperature stability. So,
And like we are saying, if you don't know, someone that came in like myself,
yeah.
came in hadn't had those labs, so I haven't even looked at any of those values ever. And all of a sudden you get it back and you go, oh, okay, maybe
Yeah.
it's not at all what I was thinking it was.
Yeah.
There's this other piece that I wasn't even aware of,
Mm.
but now that we actually tested it and we can see what's actually happening in the body, now we can make those changes.
Yeah. Are you seeing a lot of people, have people figured, because this is another change in the conversation I want to have with people and get them into CU and brain-based chiropractic. Are you seeing people that have autoimmune kind of seeking you out, seeking brain-based chiropractic because they're in autoimmune?
Yeah, we
I mean, I know the benefits of it and I'll
sure.
speak to it, but I was just wondering if people, like when people first started seeing me for mental health and it wasn't talked about, that there was a correlation with nutrition. And I was like, this is so cool. They figured it out on their own, right? But now it's a more common. But do you find that people will find you and seek you out for that? Or is that an indirect way of you saying, this is going to help with your autoimmune?
It started to people more and more are seeking something more natural and different ways out because I honestly think what it is moms getting sick and tired of their families being sick and tired and not having
Yes. Yeah.
an answer besides let's go take this, or you know what, it's Monday morning, you gotta take this pill, little Johnny, and then make sure to take
Yeah.
this one before you go to school. We don't want another bad report. And then all of a sudden,
Right.
uh, we have all sorts of issues going on. And what we find is something with the letter A. We see asthma, allergies, ADHD, autism, autoimmune disorders, and it's going crazy. And a lot of the times it starts when they're kids. And I think moms are figuring this out that this isn't normal. But what they're told a lot of the time is, it's okay, it's common, it's normal, they'll grow out of it.
Right, right,
But
right.
what we're finding, and I think what moms are finding, is you don't necessarily grow out of those things. You grow into autoimmune disorders down the road. Whereas if we can help the neurology and help the different stressors that baby goes through. I mean, shoot, the birthing process is extremely traumatic for mom, but we don't think about baby.
Yeah,
Very, very,
yeah,
very traumatic for baby
yeah,
as
yeah.
well. And that's when we get the colicky stuff,
Mhm.
which I mean, I think we've talked about this. Colic is almost just another word for we don't know what's going on and your baby's fussy, but they will grow out of it.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
But
I
that's
know,
that's the
right?
baby's way to communicate. So as that continues, they're growing into more problems. And like I said, I think moms are figuring that out that there's got to be a better way.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can't just continue down this path
yeah,
over and over
yeah.
and over. So those are the people, those are the moms that kind of seek us out for those things. Going, hey, we've tried everything else.
Yeah,
We've searched out all this. We've done a ton of research. And by
yeah,
the way, if you have a sick child, that mother will do research.
yeah.
They will come
Right,
in and
right.
go, yeah, yeah, I know. We've gone over this. We can use different words. And they're like, yeah, I already know that word. And I'm like,
Right,
how do you know what disaffirmation and dysautonomy means? They're like, oh yeah, well, I've done my research. I checked it out. We
right,
got this. Let's go. And I'm like,
yeah,
let's go. Let's
right. The
let's
good
rock it.
and the bad of having access to this much information,
Right.
right? we are creating an educated consumer that wants, a different experience. They want a different experience with food. They want a different experience with their healthcare. And that is so inspiring to me to keep kind of expanding and growing and connecting where people need to be. Because, like autoimmune, anything that's systemic in the traditional medical field is just going to be labeled and that's it. You might have a medication for a symptom, but there's no corrective care going on. And so to have all these different options for people to actually get to the root of what is going on, because yes, autoimmune is set up in childhood. There's a certain number of factors that can, and people don't know this, right? Certain number of factors that can create that environment, and then it can be a catalyst that kind of tips them over. Um, and it can be any kind of stressor, including pregnancy. Postpartum autoimmune is a very common thing, right? Especially if that immune system is turned off. And so it's been set up a certain way. It's turned off during pregnancy, turns back on, and may turn back on dysregulated. So, and again, coming in and removing interference in the nervous system, getting residual, right? If the communication in the nervous system is off, you're going to have nutrient deficiencies because over time, the lack of communication means your digestion won't absorb, your detox pathways won't open up, right? And then you're going to see depletion, which then that depletion puts the body in more stress, right? And we get stuck in these loops and these circles keep going round and round.
All the time. I was just gonna say it becomes this vicious cycle, and there aren't any answers to it. So it just becomes quote unquote normal. It's not normal at all,
No,
but I think it just becomes so common, and there aren't enough answers to it that people just have to accept what it is, or it goes back to, oh, we've talked about this, and it makes me want to like tear my hair. Oh, well, it's probably just genetic. I'm like,
oh, yes, we have talked about this, and yes, oh,
Well,
I have a family history. I do not want to hear your family history. What your family has taught you is how to eat, how to manage stress, how to sleep or not sleep, right? You have learned behavior around diet and lifestyle. Yeah.
So all those stressors
Right.
get learned, right? It's and my favorite example to bring up is, okay, well, what about identical twins? You know what's identical about identical twins is their genes. Why can one have autoimmune disorders, heart disease, and cancer, and the other one doesn't if it's genetics? So we know that that's not actually the answer.
I know, right?
And if we want to talk about epigenetics, then let's talk about it. But we got to talk about lifestyle.
Yes.
If we're not talking about lifestyle, then you're just beating a dead horse.
I know,
It doesn't even make any sense. We need a clear nervous system. We need to manage our stress well. Stress isn't going away. Some of the assessments that we test is how much stress is actually stuck in the body. But we're upfront with everyone. Hey, our goal is not to follow you around and make sure you live this nice, happy, friendly life.
Put you in a bubble. Yeah.
But one thing we can't do, and we're pretty good at doing, is allowing your body to deal with more of that stress before it affects you, before it turns into all those things.
Yeah. I think people need to understand that health is a journey, not a destination, right? When they come in to see, they have this marker that they want to be passed, and then they are healthy. That's not really how it works too, right? So,
And even if it was, that wouldn't work because then you go out and you wake up the next day and there's more stuff going on. It has to be a lifestyle. It's a marathon. It's a lifelong marathon. It has to be.
Well, Dr. Jason, this has been fascinating and incredible and a lot of fun. And I hope that our audience has learned a lot about two types of chiropractic, what you do, and how can they reach you? What's the best way to kind of check you out?
Any of our social media handles, so Revolution Chiropractic on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
But our website, revolutionchiropractor.com, is a good one as well. So reach out, and even if it's some people that don't want to care, but they just have questions, great. Let's talk about it.
Awesome.
The worst thing you can do is forget about it. I mean, all these things come up. You got to talk about it.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, we're going to have you on again and dive into more subjects.
Already looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.